A new community gallery opens this Sunday in Kreta Ayer, showcasing the area's early Chinese cultural art scene, which included opera, puppetry and music.
Kreta Ayer was a settlement for Chinese immigrants in the 1800s, and this will be the first such gallery by the National Heritage Board, focusing on intangible cultural heritage. Melissa Go with more.
A year in the making, the 100-square-meter Kreta Ayer Heritage Gallery has over 120 artifacts, more than half of which were contributed by artists and residents. Among the artifacts, an opera fan's personal collection.
Actually, I only left few photographs. The rest, I don't know. Can contribute today. That's why I all throw away. It's one game of us, so we challenge to each other, see who is get the more photographs, especially with their signature.
Costumes and makeup used by opera performers will also be on display.
There's no beat, there's no conductor.
Visitors can learn about Nanyin music, an art form that's over 2,000 years old. Nanyin literally translates into music of the south, originating from Fujian province.
Nanyin to me is not only a form of music, it's not a tradition, but rather it's a culture that's been passed down from generations to generations to today. It is very important that youths especially know more about the Chinese culture to discover their roots.
We hope to make elements of our intangible cultural heritage tangible and more accessible. And through our upcoming programs, we also hope to facilitate the transmission of these elements from practitioners to students and even interested members of the public.
At the gallery, you can stage your own Chinese puppet show or try your hand at calligraphy with works by award-winning artist Wong Jiashi for inspiration. The National Heritage Board is also working with the Eurasian Association to open another community gallery at the end of this year.
And for more, we're joined by Wong Jiashi, Senior Manager for Education and Community Outreach at the National Heritage Board, and calligraphy artist Malik Mazlan. Thank you very much, guys, for coming in. Jiashi, I want to ask you, first off, so this is National Heritage Board's first intangible cultural gallery. So what's so different from this gallery compared to the other cultural galleries?
Right. So for National Heritage Board, we manage all the museums and heritage institutions in Singapore. So these typically have a national or community level narrative focus or events. For the community galleries, like we have one at Wisma Geylang Serai, which is the Geylang Serai Heritage Gallery. This one looks at the history and the growth of Geylang Serai through maps, stories of past residents. Now for Kreta Ayer, it's the first one that we are trying to, that we have done, that actually looks at intangible cultural heritage. It's a mouthful, but basically it looks at things that are not tangible, or rather traditions, also oral traditions and culture that's passed down from generation to generation. So this one is the first one we're looking at.
So as intangible, as it is, there are many artifacts that sort of on display that showcase just what those traditions were all about. We saw some of them in that story just now.
Yes.
Can you tell us some of the significance of why they were picked, and if you have any personal favorites, maybe?
So basically we had a call out last year for artifacts to be placed in the gallery, and we had to go through all of them. There were quite a bit, so we had to go through some of them. And we finally managed to narrow down on 5 that were actually reflective of the history and intangible cultural heritage in Kreta Ayer, which includes, like you've seen earlier, Chinese opera, Chinese puppetry, Nanyin, calligraphy, and also tea. So my personal favorite is actually, I think earlier on we've seen this Miss Cindy Chat. Her late father actually had a, Mr. Chat Taipo. He actually had a notebook, if you will. Now it looks like it's weathered the years pretty well. But in it, he actually writes all the notes on the plays that he has played, and then he takes notes on remedies for bruises. And also, to me, having grown up on a diet of kung fu movie, it looks like a martial art operating manual to me, so I really like that a lot.
Wow, okay, that's great. Malik, I'm going to bring you into this conversation. So what sparked your interest in Chinese calligraphy?
I actually started out with Japanese calligraphy because I had the chance. I was studying at Republic Polytechnic, and I had the exchange. So actually, being a Malay, I mean, like we have our own calligraphy, not the brush that you see and all that. So when I went to Japan, I said, "Wow, these signboards are beautiful." So that's where I sparked my interest in Chinese calligraphy. So when I came back to Singapore, I actually found a teacher, a Japanese teacher, to actually teach me. So unfortunately, I had to return back to Japan. So that was when I started researching, and I noticed, hey, you know what? The Chinese calligraphy also has like similar to Chinese calligraphy. So that was when I chanced upon my teacher, Mr. Yong Chong-tai, who's actually quite a veteran in the field.
Yes.
So I consider myself to be very lucky. I've been under his he's been my mentor for about 10 years.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was when I started. I mean, the whole journey being summarized very easily. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Malik, we understand that you didn't speak Chinese, and still, do you speak Chinese now?
I mean,
a little bit. But at that time, you didn't understand or read Chinese characters. So was it difficult for you to master this art form then?
I started out as an illiterate, so I still consider myself, even at this point, more lucky than most people who actually start out Chinese calligraphy, is because all the way since the beginning, I had mentors to actually decode everything for me. Yep. And part of what they decode was actually, I didn't start with the traditional script that you all see today.
Yeah.
I started out with ancient script, which I think I'm going to demonstrate later.
Yeah, why don't you demonstrate now? Because, you know, I mean, I learned Mandarin in school, and even then, you know, I still don't write very well. I can tell, you know, a person who writes wonderful and beautifully. So, you know, why don't you show us?
So, the ancient script that I did is actually very pictorial.
Yes.
So, I mean, like, because if I do the traditional script, right, when I was illiterate, I would not be able to know the stroke order, or rather like that. So, it's ancient script is more imaginative.
So this is the ancient.
Yeah, this is ancient script. I'm writing a character Fu. This means luck in Chinese.
Isn't this Fu?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. See how awful my Fu is? Keep it right nicely. Correct?
Yes, you're right.
Did I write it correctly?
Yes, absolutely correct.
Yeah.
All the strokes are there.
Okay. But mine is 简体字, not 繁体字. This goes beyond even 繁体字.
Yeah, it's when ancient script, which is Master Yong is actually very known for.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, if you go to the gallery, you'll see that yes, it written that actually.
Yep.
So
we have one piece, one of his work in the gallery that is actually an ancient script written by him.
So he encouraged me to actually do it. So you see, this is like a jar.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, jar full of blessings.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is compared to the traditional script. So for someone who doesn't speak Mandarin, see, oh, this looks like a jar. Then they can draw out the image.
I think you do so much. You do such a good job. Thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us. We've been speaking to Wong Jiashi from the National Heritage Board and calligraphy artist Malik Mazlan.